maybe.
Welcome into the Roll Jays podcast, brought to you by Pepper Jack's Grill, Pyramid Contractors, and Sinovation. Omaha, Jimmie and Casey Matthews with your Creighton assistant coach, Steve Merfeld, is going to join us here in a minute on the Sinovation Coaches segment of the night. And Murph joins us now.
Oh,
Coach.
Can you hear us, Coach? Hold on. Might be having some, depending on where he's at in that gym, it can be difficult.
Casey, go ahead and text him, ask him to leave the studio and come back in and see if that helps with the problem. Obviously, that very old building in D.C. has got a lot of cryptic areas, so we'll see if we can get Coach Merfeld on a very somber day in Jays Nation. Not just the loss, but for everybody just joining us, didn't see the halftime show or hear John Bishop's post game with Greg McDermott. Unfortunately, Josh Dix's mother passed away this morning. He got the call this morning. He was unfortunately given that news before a game and still was able to go out there and play 30 minutes for Creighton tonight. Just a tough night for everybody and maybe more specifically, more than anybody, Josh Dix and his family. Murph, we got you?
I don't think so. He's texting me right now.
Okay. We'll see if we can get him added in. We'll see if he just appears as a possibility.
Yeah, we'll just let it spin.
Yeah.
And no, I mean, Jimmy, it's obviously a somber night. You know, I mean, the game, things like this always seem to keep things in perspective and put things in perspective. And,
sure.
You know, I just feel for Josh, for his family. And you know, I think what Max said on his interview was really good, and just talking about the NIL era and how, because money's involved now, people just sort of think that that's all that matters to these guys. And
sure, and I think you more alluded to the transfer portal and Josh only being here for a year, but I think it's important to remember that Josh Dix grew up a Creighton fan. I mean, there's pictures of him, you know, at the Chai as a young kid attending Creighton games. So the fact that he went to Iowa doesn't take away from the fact that he's been around this program the majority of his life. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, obviously, you would have loved to see a win tonight, but unfortunately for a lot of people, that's not even the number one storyline for a lot of people tonight and the things that they're dealing with in their life. And it's just a reminder that even though the season's kind of gone the way it is, that sometimes, you know, basketball is still just a game and there are bigger things in life.
Oh, hold on. There we go. We got something going on.
Murph, can you hear?
We almost had a. Oh, here we go. Can you unmute, Murph?
There we go. You got me?
Yeah, Coach, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. Obviously, our condolences to you guys dealing with it today and Josh and his family with the loss of his mother. I'm sure it's just been a real tough day for everybody around that locker room.
Yeah, super tough. And golly, just really proud of these guys for rallying around Josh. And, you know, obviously it opened up some deep wounds for Blake as well. So, yeah, it's been a tough day. But, you know, as last Saturday, it puts a lot of things in perspective. And we're very, very fortunate to play the game of basketball, coach the game of basketball. But there are more important things in life, and family is certainly number one.
Yeah. Murph, it's so interesting, you know, like I think I'm a fan, you know, obviously in a former staff member, so I have a different connection, you know, with people like yourself and the staff and players. But I think more than anything, a lot of people, even that weren't, you know, that have never been a part of the program, but that have been on a team before, understand like what a team is really about. And when you really need teammates is in moments, you know, like this, when things are going.
Tell him to come on, the guy.
And we can go quick, Murph, if you got to roll.
No, we're good. We're good. They're actually
just saying, like, when things are going great, like it's nice to have teammates to share in those moments, but moments like this are really where teammates, you know, I don't know if kind of handy is the right term, but you really need people in your life that can pick you up. And, you know, I can't help it. You know, there's a few times I could think of going through moments similar to this with you, including, I mean, really the loss of my own mother. You were, right. I think, maybe the first or second person that found out about that. Yeah. And, you know, they do put things into perspective. But what I think is interesting is what we saw tonight. I think when you look at the last couple games and you look at the way things were trending in that second half, Josh losing his mom tonight, how easy would that have been for those dudes to just quit and say, you know what, screw it, let's just let this clock run and get home. But instead, I feel like they fought. They fought till the end. That's got to make you incredibly proud. And can you just say, with your experience coaching and even as a head coach, like, have you been through something like this before?
Not this. I did have a player after the season was over killed in a car accident. So I guess I have some experience with this, but it's never easy, right? It's always really hard. And Max said it after the game in the locker room. It's just great that we've got great dudes. They're really, really good guys. They care about each other. And it goes well beyond basketball. I mean, obviously, Josh is going to remember this day for the rest of his life, and who was with him in these times when he really needed somebody. And that's the beauty of being a part of a team and being a team member. The game is certainly secondary to what the team and what Josh went through today. And, it's hard. Death is inevitable, obviously. But you just have to keep moving on and everybody will rally together and pick it up and help Josh any way we can. And thinking about just the game, I mean, we practiced really well on Monday and Tuesday. Obviously, I don't know if people even knew this. Josh and Fedor never practiced on Monday and Tuesday
because they're sick
with the flu. And they both performed exceptionally well tonight. Just imagine, what Josh went through with the flu, knowing his mother was ill, couldn't visit her, obviously, because of the flu. And then to strap it up, tie the shoes up tonight and play basketball. So you hate to say it, but, we'll rally and move forward.
I hate to make it about the game tonight after all that, but you mentioned Fedor a minute ago. Herculean effort at the end of the game. He ends up scoring 11 points, goes 3 or 4 from beyond the arc, and 2 of those coming in a situation where the game almost was over and he almost willed it back into existence. What did you see out of him tonight, despite his inability to practice this week?
Resilience, I guess, is the best way to describe it. I mean, to perform like that late in the game, and he was so upset when he missed that free throw. I think he could have cut it to 5. With about a minute to go. And in those situations, the pressure definitely turns to the other team. And we have a fouled, and then they went up 3 possessions again. I think they went 1 of 2 and went up 7. But yeah, proud of Fedor. Really proud of all these guys. I mean, the execution was there. Before he made those threes, I think we were like 4 for 25 from 3. And we're just not going to win very many basketball games if we don't shoot it better than that. And some of them, I mean, were some great offensive possessions. It's exactly what we're looking for. And, I think it was Hudson had that one that went in, came out, went back in, and then came back out. And I think that would have cut it to 6, maybe with about 3 minutes to go. So, yeah, it's, we'll move forward and do the best we can.
Yeah, Murphy, we really don't want to keep you long at all tonight. With obviously just you guys got to travel back and do all that. I did want to see if you could just talk about Hudson just for just a second. I mean, he played 15 minutes tonight, and I think for the situation that we're in, is it fair to say that he's going to get a bigger and bigger role as the season progresses? And what do you hope to see from that?
Well, Case, he was right there before he had that injury, and then he missed a month of basketball. What I'll say about Hudson is he's fearless, he's confident, and when you have that kind of combination of being fearless, confident, and talented, I guess you could add to it, he's going to have a great career for us. And trying to mold him back into it, and tonight's a step in the right direction, and that's all we can ask for, to stay positive and continue to work from game to game.
Murph, we'll let you go ahead and get out of here. We know you guys are probably trying to pack up and hit the bus and get back on the plane. Safe travels. We'll catch up with you when you guys get back to Omaha.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for the time.
Man, Murph.
It's great. Coach Steve Merfeld joining us on the Sonovation Coach's Corner here on the Roll Jays podcast as Creighton falls tonight in a tough loss out in Washington, D.C., but an even tougher night for everybody in that locker room. Georgetown holds off the Jays 76-68 tonight. And Casey, I mean, to make it about basketball for a minute, just because that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
I know it got closer at the end of that game, and I just kind of referenced it with Fedor, but you don't get that explosion from Fedor Zugic. I mean, this is almost blowout-esque.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, let me say this. I mean, about these guys, like, I think to fight like that and not get blown out is
it matters.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of what we talked about on the last show. Like, what are you looking for? What are you watching for? Like, for me, you for a guy like Fedor who does have eligibility left at the end of the year, you know, you're going to have to make decisions, right? Like, do we want him back? Like, does he want to be back? Those sorts of things are going to be part of the offseason conversation. But you got to point to something. You got to be able to show a fight, show a desire to play and not really let your effort be based on, you know, postseason aspirations or anything like that, but really just trying to fight and win every game. And so I think what we saw tonight as a team, look, I mean, I think one other thing about this game is the fact that Nick Graves went down. Yeah. And are we able to keep it close and hang around with Nick in the game? I think so. And I think that when Nick went out, we had a string of turnovers there that, you know, were really just like they just kept building on you know, on like one after the other. And so I'm just trying to pull this up right now. We had 16 turnovers tonight, and Hudson actually played 24 minutes. Sorry, not 15, but yeah, to have 16 turnovers tonight, 11 assists. It's hard to win games like that, you know. And then when you compound the issue, go, you know, 8 for 33 from 3, it's just so many empty possessions. And again, when you're on the road, and really, let's just be honest, like, we're not a great team, so you don't. The margin for error is slim. So,
well, and you brought it up. I want to point out that, and again, we were a little bit late getting on. Thank you to everybody just joining us for the post game show here on the Roll Jays podcast. We were trying to hear Greg McDermott's post game conversation with John Bishop and let everybody kind of get the information about Josh Dixon and his family before we came on. But the other thing that John Bishop pointed out before Matt came over and started speaking is that Nick Graves is up and walking around and seems to be fine. So that's obviously a plus for this team going forward. But back to Fedor for a second. You know, we opened up talking about Josh Dixon, the NIL transfer portal era, and how much these guys don't care about the teams that they come to and et cetera. Like, Fedor has basically been sat on the bench because of his deficiencies defensively. You know, that's not me saying that. We've had the coaches on this show talk openly about that, which is obviously a conversation they're having with Fedor. And then he gets thrown into this situation where you have Nick Graves go down, your number gets called, and he goes out and gives you that effort offensively. Now, that doesn't make up for the deficiencies on the defensive side of the things, but for a guy that, for all intents and purposes, has basically been saddled with 3 to 8 minutes a game to go out there and give you that type of effort in the last 3 minutes, almost will you back into this game is even that much more impressive.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know, I think there's some element too, right? That they, I mean, there's kind of no pressure in those moments. So there's some element to that. But sure. I just like the fact that there was still effort. And I think when you really look at all the factors that are at play, even take you know, Josh and his family situation out of it, you've lost a couple of games in a row. The postseason. I mean, you're going to be playing in the crown if you're, you know, like at this point. So, like, you have to find a way to be intrinsically motivated. You have to find a way to play for pride, and so, although we didn't see that, and you know, the whole night, I'm not going to sit here and wax poetic about how proud I am of this team for that. What I am proud of is that they were able to go out, play in most of the game as a team, stay together, and fight till the end. Came up short, obviously. And this is not a game where you just like chalk it up like, well, unfortunately Josh's mother passed. Like, no, this one doesn't count. This game counts,
yeah.
and you have to, be held accountable for the performance that you put on the floor. But I think we can kind of turn the page tonight feeling like, well, at least somewhat, I don't know, just feeling somewhat better because we did keep fighting and because we did, make it a little bit closer. But the deficiencies of the team, man, it's
So I want to talk about that
pretty
for a
rough.
minute because there was some stuff in the first half. I mean, Creighton was leading at halftime. The Jays are up 2 points, and we talked about it that there was some real above the rim lob threats with Jason Green rolling to the rim, and they had some success cutting into the paint, specifically with Jason, and it was working. Jason Green only attempted one field goal in the second half, and like obviously, like you always say, the other team's trying to win too. And a little bit of that is what Ed Cooley and the defense did to adjust in the second half. But like it just kind of feels like that's the story of this team this season is we'll see things that are working, and they just tend to get away from it when the pressure gets put on them. Like it's it's an adage as old as time that when pressure starts to build, you fall back on your bad habits. And it just feels like this team, maybe more than any Jays team in the past, is in that realm where there's a little bit of lack of athleticism. There's definitely a lack of toughness from an on-ball pressure standpoint. And when those things get ramped up, 1 through 5, they just find it difficult to deal with.
I find my biggest concern is we're just so one-dimensional. And if we aren't shooting well from the perimeter, we're not a good team.
Yeah, and they haven't been for the last 5 games.
And it bleeds into the defense just as much as it does to the offense. The score tonight, I mean, they still scored 76 points, but like the defensive numbers in the first half were inflated. It really wasn't because we were playing good defensively. They missed easy shots around the rim. I felt like defensively tonight we were not very good, really at any stretch. In terms of your comments about Jason, yeah, I mean the fact that he took one shot in the second half is super concerning, but I have to credit Georgetown for that more than I really draw any conclusions. Sure. I think they took him away
for sure,
and they forced us to shoot 33 3-point jump shots tonight. And when you are as one-dimensional as this team is, that's what happens. If you don't shoot 40-something% from 3, you're not going to win the game. And so it's frustrating. It's something I think like fans, and not just fans, me myself, the staff for crying out loud would tell you they're frustrated with the fact that we can't seem to shoot on the road at all. But then even in the CHI, we're so up and down. And I think a lot of that is
against UConn.
Yeah, I mean, like you can point to a couple guys that I think I would consider, good shooters. I think, I think Isaac is a good shooter. He's just, to me, he's really fallen off.
He only attempted one shot tonight.
Yeah, I mean Austin to me is he's a good shooter, but Austin to me is very streaky. When Austin's hot, there's nobody I'd rather have the ball on our team, than him. But when he's not hitting shots, some of those things tend to compound into taking bad ones.
I'm going to give you a comparison for Schwartz real quick because, and this is obviously not apples to apples, but I think in the way that their game formulates, the way they're able to create offense, he reminds me a lot of John Wall in the sense that when Austin's in the open court and there's not a ton of pressure on him and he has space where he can kind of create for himself, he's really, really good. But when it's in a phone booth or a half court set and the defense is on him, he kind of disappears at times. And listen, there's obviously a lot of pros and a lot of cons about that, but sometimes with players like that, you have to take the good with the bad. You hope with a young player like that, he just develops that skill set later in his career that even in those tough situations, he bows up and learns to play within the system to create offense for not only himself, but for others too.
Yeah, I mean, I point to that probably more that Josh does, like he is able to create his own offense, and because of that, he's going to get the other team's best defender. And so he forces the issue because he's the only one. I mean, Hudson, I would actually throw into that category as well, but he's really the only one that can go get his own shot. And what I wish that we could do for him would be take some of the pressure off of him in that area, and instead of him right, but instead of him going against a set defense and having to create his own shot, have guys that can beat their man one-on-one and create for him to where now he can attack a closeout. You watch, he very rarely gets an opportunity to attack a closeout, but he creates those opportunities for other guys. And so I do understand kind of what you're saying because his efficiency numbers are low, but I believe that most of that is sort of a byproduct of he's always in a position to make either an amazing play or a bad play, similar to if you look at offensive numbers at the end of shot clock, where efficiency numbers at the end of shot clock are drastic. I mean, they're so low. And that's because typically you're just trying to get a shot off. You're trying to find a way to create a shot. And traditionally those numbers are going to be lower, points per possession wise. So it's not necessarily the same thing, but I kind of see it in a similar way in that he's always kind of being stuck in that situation. Certainly he has to learn and grow and look for opportunities to create for other people. But that's where, again, like when you go 8 for 33 tonight, I don't have the numbers of the spray chart, but how many of those shots were missed off of a pass from Austin? I don't know the answer to that.
Sure.
But certainly his numbers could look a lot better if we're hitting shots, and which is easy to say. I know the whole team's numbers would look better, but for him specifically, I definitely think it matters. And then too, man, it's like, I know that like Jason does what he does for us. But at the end of the day, man, he's a 6'8" man.
Yeah,
he's not a true he's not a true post presence and someone that can take pressure off the offense by being able to throw the ball to the post. And that matters. And that having that vertical threat also matters. So there's a lot of layers to our offense that we're not able to get to, because we don't have the personnel to do it, honestly.
Well, and I also think it's like with everything we just said, Fedor Zugic is the only person that made more than 2 baskets in the second half. Like you've got to be able to score the basketball. Like
for sure,
situation like the ball's just got to eventually go through the net.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to the first half. It's a 2-point game at halftime, and I don't think either team. I know neither team played well in that first half. But to me, I don't. I know Big O might be watching. He gets offended if you say anything negative about Georgetown. But the effort that Georgetown put on the floor in the first half, I just was very unimpressed. Specifically, KJ Lewis. They looked like a disconnected team. There were a couple times where they showed huddles where the guys are kind of going at each other. Like they just didn't look like a unit to me. And then the second half, they came out and they played so much harder. They played together. They played like they had a purpose. And I felt like that was the biggest difference, because I didn't necessarily see a big drop off in terms of effort and energy from the Jays in the second half, but I did see a huge increase in what Georgetown brought to the table. And I do feel like that was the difference. I'm going to give our team an excuse on this one. I am, because of everything that they're dealing with mentally. I do think it wears on you and it matters. But at the end of the day, you're basically professional basketball players, and you got to find a way. You got to find a way to bring your best effort and energy every time you have the chance. Easier said than done, I know. But that's what we're held accountable for doing. And to me, it was the difference tonight. Was just, in that second half, man, they played a lot harder than we did.
Yeah, and I think Vincent Iwuchukwu was really the catalyst to that too. I mean, he started getting those putbacks and layups, and they were getting those in the first half. They just weren't falling for them. And then Iwuchukwu specifically was getting those shots to fall, and it just kind of felt like it just kind of ran its way through the rest of that.
Yeah, it wasn't it wasn't our day, man. From the terrible news with Josh to not being able to hit threes, to losing Nick Graves, to sometimes you have days like that. And Jimmy, if I could, man, like I'm not trying to make this about me at all. I actually want to make this about Mac for a second, and just say this, because I do feel like the team, has struggled, and I try to stay off social media when I can, but you see stuff, and it just always bothers me when people start talking about Mac and not caring and things like that. It really does irk me. But I do want to say this, man. Like, I think you have a team that you that you follow. For us, it's Creighton in college basketball, and you want to find ways to be proud of that team. And part of being proud of that team is being proud of the leadership of the team. And certainly, there's been a lot from a basketball perspective that we can be frustrated about. We can be disappointed that that we signed some guys that haven't necessarily worked out to the way we thought they would work out.
Mhm.
We could be disappointed, that we haven't hit shots on the road. We can be disappointed in a lot of things from a basketball perspective, and I think that's totally fair and totally warranted. But what I will say is I couldn't be more proud of the leadership that we have leading the program. And I think days like today, to me, exemplify that. And the fact that you got a player who is dealing with what he's dealing with, still decides to play, and then for the program to say, hey, we're not going to take player interviews, Mac's going to go address the issue on the local radio. To me, that's a really classy move to handle it that way, and not put his players in a position to have to speak on their emotions and speak about a game that they lost, when they, to be honest with you, they don't want to think about that right now. They want to be there for their teammate. And unfortunately, I went through it a few years ago. I lost my mother, and I was on the staff at that time, and I could just tell you from personal experience that Greg McDermott's the best. Like, he's the best, and made things for me and my family a lot better. So I just wanted to share that. I'm really glad that he's leading our program.
Yeah, and look, I mean, there's a lot of people that the social media stuff is what it is. I'm not even going to reiterate it because it's not even worth talking about. But like, I think it takes days like for today for people to go, yeah, maybe we still have the right guy at the top of the program, and
for
it's
sure.
not necessarily about basketball, but we, in full disclosure, I mean, a little peek behind the curtain, we kind of let Murph off the hook a little bit if he didn't want to do this. I mean, because obviously for obvious reasons. So, like, yeah, it's tough. Yes, Creighton's 500 in Big East play right now, and they're one game but 500 in the entire season. But
yeah,
sometimes that's the least important part of the headline. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think it's important that you how I am. I obviously I'm the president of the Greg McDermott fan club, so I do try to find opportunities to praise Mac, and I'll always do that. But I also think we try to be as fair as we can about the team,
100%,
and I think he understands that, and he respects that about and not only us but other media that follows his team,
specifically me.
But I also do really want to. We don't always get moments to. We don't always want moments to reflect on the human element of things. And when you talk about having a program and having a basketball program, and part of it is what they bring to the community. Part of it, like, I don't know if this is bad to say, like Baylor Shireman. I know he's a Nebraska kid, but he bought a home here in Omaha, right? Like, he wants to be in this community, and we want him in the community, right? Like, I only bring that up to say there's a lot of stories like that where Mac's bringing guys here and making sure that
well, I think it's even
they represent our community.
More important to point out, like, when, for anybody that's just joining us for the first time, we had Steven Ashworth on after every game last season, and he just talked about, like, hey, me and my wife are gonna go do this pro basketball thing, but like when that's done and over with, we want to come back. We want to be here because we love Omaha.
Yeah,
and that's a kid from Alpine, Utah, who'd never been to Omaha, Nebraska in his life beforehand, as opposed to Baylor, a guy that grew up not too far away. So, and like not even that. Like I think about guys, like Mitch that have come here, loved it here, and chose to, after his basketball life, to make his coaching career alongside Greg McDermott. Now, it doesn't hurt that you played for the guy and a pretty good program.
Yeah.
But
right.
it's
But he's just a man that you can be proud of.
Yeah.
And he makes sure that this program is a program that you can be proud of.
Yeah,
And
listen,
I just think that shouldn't be glossed over ever.
Let's call it what it is. This season sucks, but it kind of feels like maybe we were due for one of these because of the run that this program had bet on, and I think a lot of people around here forgot what it felt like to not have Sweet 16 Elite 8 aspirations, and that the fact that you have those memories and that has become the standard of this program has a lot to do with the guy in the first chair.
Yeah, no question about that, man. That's a good way to put a bow on it. I think I hate that this ended the way it did tonight, but yeah, our thoughts and prayers are obviously with Josh and the rest of the program. So I appreciate everybody watching tonight.
Yeah, thanks for everybody, John. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Big East Energy on YouTube. A lot of people watching on the YouTube channel. If you're a fan of Big East basketball, men's or women's, we got a ton of coverage around the network. Go ahead and like and subscribe to Big East Energy. Today, I'm Jimmie Allen. That's Casey Matthews. Creighton falls 76-68 to Georgetown tonight. The Jays will be back in action in Omaha against Seton Hall, who also lost tonight in just 3 short days. We'll see you back at the Chai. Thanks for watching. Roll Jays.